Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. We hear the acronym literally all the time, and we use them constantly. But today we are going on a really fascinating journey into the underlying architecture of virtual private networks, or VPNs. We're going way past the surface-level definitions to look at the structural roadmap of how these networks actually secure our digital lives.
Have you ever actually stopped to wonder what happens when you click Connect on your VPN? Think about it. With one click, your machine suddenly behaves as if it's sitting in a completely different city, or even halfway across the world. It feels like magic, right? Well, actually, scratch that. It's definitely not magic. It's a highly sophisticated series of digital handshakes and encrypted tunnels executing in mere milliseconds. Today, we're unpacking those hidden mechanics.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for peeling back the layers today. We'll start with 1. What is a VPN? Then 2. The pros and cons. 3. Three types of VPNs. 4. Protocols under the hood. And finally, 5. How it actually works.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1. What is a VPN? The simulated private WAN.
So, a virtual private network is, at its core, a private, point-to-point connection between two machines or networks over a shared public network like the Internet. But here's the absolute crucial part. We really need to emphasize the letter V here, virtual. It means your data is literally sharing the exact same physical wires and circuits as everyone else's public internet traffic. There's no super secret, dedicated physical cable just for you. Instead, using a clever combo of hardware and software, a VPN basically takes the wild, chaotic public internet and turns it into a simulated private wide area network, or WAN. It routes your data through virtual connections, tricking the system into acting like you have your very own private line. Now, the underlying tech might be a bit complex, but the everyday applications, we know them well. You might use it to securely tap into your corporate network while you're traveling, or to hide your browsing from a snooping ISP. Or, and let's be totally honest here, you're probably routing your connection through a US server so Netflix thinks you're browsing from right within the United States, just to unlock that geo-blocked content. We've all been there.
Moving right along to Section 2, the pros and cons. Security versus complexity.
So, the crucial point here is that it's essentially a balancing act of what we gain versus what we have to manage. On the plus side, you gain massive cost savings by dropping those incredibly expensive lease lines, and it's just effortlessly scalable for growth. But, the cost of all that flexibility is complexity. You really need an in-depth understanding of security protocols to set the whole shebang up, plus you'll be fighting a lack of standardization between different vendors. And the kicker? Your performance relies entirely on the unpredictable, uncontrollable public internet.
Next up, Section 3. 3 types of VPNs. Connecting the dots.
To really anchor this theory in reality, let's look at a specific case study, the corporate connection dilemma. Imagine you've got a company with one location in Noida and a branch way over in Pune, and they need to communicate securely. Sure, they could purchase physical, private lines spanning all those miles, but the cost per mile would be absolutely astronomical. No way. So, what's the modern viable solution? A VPN. The company basically hooks up their communication lines to a local internet service provider in both cities. That ISP then steps in as a middleman, utilizing the public internet to build this incredibly secure, highly affordable network that links Noida and Pune seamlessly. Pretty smart, right?
Network architects generally use 3 distinct models, depending on the scale of what needs to be connected. Down at the individual level, you have the remote access VPN. That's what you're using when you're working from a coffee shop, connecting your client software to a network access server. But if you scale that up to an entire office, you get the Intranet VPN. That's exactly like our Noida to Pune example, taking multiple remote offices and joining them into a single private network to save on WAN costs. Scale it up even further, and you hit the Extranet VPN. This one securely connects the local networks of entirely different partner companies, suppliers, or customers, so they can actually collaborate in a shared environment.
All right, let's get a little technical. Section 4. Protocols. Under the hood. The gears of the machine.
Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is seeing how these different protocols prioritize totally different needs within the tunnel. Like IPSec, it encrypts every single packet of a data stream, making it highly secure, but it requires these heavy, slow client installations. Then contrast that with Microsoft's PPTP. It is ridiculously fast and widely used, but it completely lacks native encryption. Kind of a big trade-off. L2TP steps in to try and bridge the gap by delivering data integrity and confidentiality, but still without inherent encryption. But honestly, the real game changer here is SSL. It requires 0 client software installation, none.
It's accessible right through your web browser via HTTPS, which allows admins to restrict access to very specific network claims. It's brilliant.
And finally, we arrive at Section 5, how it actually works, establishing the connection.
Let's move to the actual process and see how this builds together. Step 1. You connect directly to the internet, whether you're using broadband or dialing into an ISP. Step 2. You authenticate your identity with a remote access server, basically proving you are who you say you are. Step 3. A secure tunnel is established using one of those protocols we just talked about, like PPTP or LTTP. And Step 4, the big payoff. Your computer now behaves exactly as if it is physically located right there on that remote network, forwarding all your encrypted requests and responses back and forth seamlessly.
But here's the thing. For that tunnel to actually survive the wild west of the public internet, the routers and firewalls on both ends have to flawlessly execute 5 core security mandates. First, encryption, to keep your intercepted data completely confidential and unreadable. Then, authentication, to verify exactly whose identities are communicating. Tunneling comes next to safeguard those identities in transit. You also need replay prevention to guard against malicious actors repeating packet sends. And finally, non-repudiation, which is just a fancy way of guaranteeing that the data arriving is 100% accurate and unaltered from its original form.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate illusion of a VPN. As this lays out, from the user's perspective, it's just a point-to-point connection between your computer and a corporate server. The messy, shared, chaotic nature of the intermediate internet, totally irrelevant to the user. Why? Because it appears as if the data is being sent over a dedicated private link. It essentially renders the entire public internet completely invisible.
So that leaves us with this final thought. Our entire modern digital world relies heavily on the vast, shared public internet, a network that fundamentally is completely insecure on its own. So given everything we've unpacked today about encryption, authentication, and virtual protocols, how reliant is your personal privacy and the corporate security of the businesses you trust every single day on these invisible digital tunnels operating perfectly behind the scenes? It's definitely something to think about. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.